Tell me, darling, could we run away? We could hide away by the cactus desert blue. I can see it just a mile away from this crowded place. I could lay there next to you.
Hey, friends, welcome back to our channel, Best Freaking Friends Forever. Thank you guys again for subscribing or commenting down below or just letting us know what you think. So today we're going to talk about Bridgerton. So we're going to talk about season 1, episode 1, and season 1, episode 2. So obviously there's a lot of characters that are in this show that we do get to meet. Like there's the Featheringtons and there's the Bridgertons, sorry. So yeah. And then we have some other people that are in. So like Regé-Jean Page, that's Simon Bassett or the Duke of Hastings. We have Phoebe Dynevor as Daphne Bridgerton. We have Jonathan Bailey as Anthony Bridgerton. Claudia Jessie as Eloise Bridgerton. Luke Newton as Colin Bridgerton. Ruth Gemmell as the mother, Lady Violet Bridgerton. Luke Thompson as Benedict Bridgerton, and then the two youngest, Will Tilston plays Gregory Bridgerton, and Florence Hunt plays Hyacinth Bridgerton. And then we have the Featheringtons. So we have Nicole Coughlan as Penelope Featherington. Let's see, Ruby Barker plays Marina Thompson. Polly Walker plays Lady Portia Featherington, so that's the mother. Sabrina Bartlett plays Sienna Rosso. Let's see. Harriet Keynes plays Philippa. I don't know how you pronounce. That's probably bad that I don't pronounce that, but she plays Prudence Featherington, and then Ben Miller plays Lord Featherington. And then we have Queen Charlotte, who is by Golda. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. And then Lady Danbury. And yeah, those are our main cast. I don't think I missed anybody. Hopefully not.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So it's a lot of cast members. And really, we get to see a lot of all of them, really. I mean, they all kind of have... Oh, and Julie Andrews voices Lady Whistledown. Almost forgot her.
Yep, we never see her. We only hear her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she narrates and all that.
Yeah. And this episode is called Diamond of the First Water. That's what it's titled. And there's a reason why it's titled that, I think.
Yes, there is. Yep, so this begins... so this episode starts with the season. So this is like putting your daughters out on display and say, look at my beautiful daughter and all she knows and all she can do. And what is her breed? Her mother, like how many children did her mother have? Did her mother have enough boys too? That's a big thing. So like Mrs. Featherington is actually considered barren. And they say that, and it's said in the episode, Whistledown says that in the episode. She's barren because she did not have an heir. She only had daughters.
Boys, yeah, she didn't have a boy.
Yep. So... it's, I don't know. So yeah, we start with them presenting their daughters. We get to see the girls getting ready. You know, I'm sure like back then that was probably like a big thing being a girl and getting dressed up and getting your hair done and your makeup on. They present the daughters to the queen.
Mm-hmm.
There it again. So the queen is, I just love how her attitude is so unimpressed. That's such a mood. She's always unimpressed with everything until she sees Daphne Bridgerton. And her exact words were, flawless, my dear. Mm-hmm. And then Whistledown names her Diamond of the First Water.
Mm-hmm.
So she is the diamond of the season. She is the girl to catch. But Whistledown also says... those who rise quickly can also fall just as fast.
Mm-hmm. She does.
And that is what happens to Daphne because of her brother.
Well, and that's crazy how fast that did happen because she had it all going for her, and then her brother kind of steps in, Anthony Bridgerton, which is the oldest brother. They don't have a father. The father, they don't mention him. Well, they talk about it because Anthony keeps saying he's in charge of taking care of the family and, taking over that role of helping Daphne.
Well, he talks about his watch when he's with his mistress, Sienna. He has a mistress. Her name's Sienna, and she's an opera singer.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, he has his dad's watch. And I think that he's probably I was thinking this too. He was probably closest with his dad because he is the oldest, so he had more years with his dad. Because anytime his mom brings the dad up one point, and Anthony's like, do not speak of him. Like, he gets very defensive when it comes to his father. But he blocks Daphne. So that's where we were. He keeps her from getting any suitors.
He does. He always says that they're not good enough, or they have this going wrong, or this, that, or the other. And yeah, he's chasing them all away from her. And I think at one point she does kind of get upset. I think the mom is because then what happens is they go to all these balls, and then the next day they wait for the gentleman callers to come. And she didn't have anybody. Like, no one was coming.
Yeah.
So
well, she had a few, and he was like, that's my seat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's one to Sheldon. And yeah, so it kind of makes them, but Morena had showed up to the ball so they presented the daughters to the queen, and then that night they had the ball, their first ball of the season, and Morena was at that ball, and so all eyes were on her because all the men started to notice her and her beauty. And so more men were showing up at the Featherington house because she is a cousin of the Featheringtons.
Yeah, so they took her in for the season.
Yeah. Well, and Colin Bridgerton danced with her. So because the Bridgertons are they're a Viscount family. And so they're higher up, on the breeding scale. And so if, somebody like kind of like if the king were to look at you type of deal, then all eyes would be on her because that was something.
Yeah, they devised a plan because obviously Lady Whistledown, she writes about all of that, or she writes about the goings-ons, so to speak, and of everything. And she talks about how, like, Daphne and how she falls from, the favor as much as what she was. And then she does start talking about Morena, and how, she's the one to kind of be with. And then the Duke of Hastings, Simon, comes into the picture.
Yeah.
And I guess they kind of devised a plan, him and Daphne.
Right.
And
he comes in because his dad had actually just passed away. And so he's actually in town to do some business since his father did pass away. He's got some business to do. We can talk a little bit about Featheringtons. So Penelope, she actually has a crush on a Bridgerton. You can tell she likes Colin, and they do have like their little moments where they talk. And she wants to, just like Eloise's mother allowed her to wait another year.
Oh, there's you find your match.
Yeah, you find your match. But Eloise wanted to wait a year. But Mrs. Featherington made all three of her daughters come out this season. And Penelope kind of wanted to wait, like Eloise did. But her mom wouldn't let her.
Well, and I feel like Eloise, like we find out that Eloise and Penelope are very naive. Well, they all are.
They all are.
I mean, they really are to just the ways of certain things.
Yeah, that's episode 2. Eloise is like hung up on babies.
Well, yeah, because she finds out Penelope finds out that Morena is pregnant. And then so Penelope tells Eloise that it's one of her maids, or that it's one of the maids, right?
Yes.
That she tells and says that it's her, and said it's really Morena, but she's telling Eloise, and they're like, well, wait a minute, how'd that, like, Eloise is just, she
said, which one of her maids is married? And
right.
And then Eloise comes into the room and says, how does one come with child? I love that part. And and apparently it's not a requirement to get married. Yeah, that whole little scene right there, that little bit was really cool. But yes, they keep them. It's more like for this era, it's very common for middle class and high class mothers to keep their daughters in the dark until their wedding night. And they're in that belief because if you keep them in the dark, then they won't want to do it. And the lower class children do know more, but that they say it's because the lower classes are usually on farms and they see the animals interact. So that's kind of where they pick that up at. Plus, their houses are closer together, so you can hear mom and dad in the other room. So that, you know, just put 2 and 2 together. That's why the lower class kids they knew a little bit, they were a little more educated.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and I think Colin even alludes to that, because didn't he said, well, let's go to the farm, and Mrs. Bridgerton was like, Colin Bridgerton.
Yeah. Well, and he also said, let's pull out our sticks.
Oh, yes. I forgot about that, but yeah.
Yeah. So he was really, Colin felt bad for her. He was really trying to tell her.
Benedict, like, for fencing.
Yeah. Benedict was not having any part of it. He's like, you ain't getting me in trouble.
I think he knows better, huh?
Yep. Simon, and we get to see Simon a good bit in this too, because he devises the plan with Daphne, because Daphne was kind of attacked by Burbrook in the garden, and Simon happens to be walking by, but Daphne knocks him out before he gets there, which was pretty cool.
Well, and then we see, like, I think Lady Danbury and Lady Bridgerton see them kind of coming together, and I think they devise a plan too. And so I think Lady Danbury tells Lady Bridgerton to have, like, gooseberry pie for their dinner, so that he ends up coming and sharing a meal with them too. So
yeah, and it's not common back then. It wasn't common to really eat with your children. Children were more seen, not heard type of thing. And so he's sitting back, taking it all in. What do they have? 8 kids, right? 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, there's 8 of them. Yep.
8 kids, and he's sitting back watching it all go down. But he actually enjoys his time there with the Bridgertons. And, yeah, him and Daphne have their little talk there too at the table. And but they devise the plan because Simon does not want to get married, and we don't find out in this episode why. But he does not want to get married, and Daphne is kind of now been considered low breed for the moment. And so the reason why they devise, Simon's like, hey, if I'm with you, then the mothers will leave me alone and won't be like throwing their daughters at me. And if I'm with you, then that'll show favor and you'll start getting what you want. So they do that to help each other out. So Simon can get his business done quietly, because he's still, like I said, he's there because his father passed away. And in this way, Daphne can kind of get back in the favor of the season.
They're talking about the plan and how Simon is he's telling her why it would benefit both of them to do this.
Right, yeah. And then they have a dance. They dance together. That's their first dance, and that's one of the 2 of my favorite parts in this episode. I really like that dance. It's very pretty. And they have fireworks in the background. And my favorite part is when Eloise yells, Daphne, make haste. Yeah, she's just not that prim and proper etiquette type of girl. She wants to, do what the boys do.
Yeah, she's very independent, and she wants more for herself than just being, I think, arm candy, so to speak, or just someone's wife. I think she wants to go to school. She wants to be educated. And yeah, she doesn't.
It's a lot. She likes to write.
Yep.
Some things I noticed in the dance cards. Dance cards is a thing. So the girls will have a card on their wrist, and the men will say, may I have this dance? And so they get to write on the card what dance they'll be dancing with the girl. And you're supposed to fill up your card. And I want to chop Daphne's bangs off. Her bangs, oh my God.
I thought that was was that something that, I didn't look it up, but I'm just wondering if that is something of how they really, because I don't see any of the other girls. And then I feel like the bangs came out more as the episodes are, I don't know, as time went on.
They were trying to age her, because as it goes on, her hair does change as she gets older.
The marriage, I think they call, the marriage market is what. And the debutante, I think they call them debutantes.
Debutantes in the South, they called them that, yeah. And yeah, so I think what they're trying to do, I don't know if they tried to make her look younger. That was kind of the point, was with the bangs. And then as it progresses, that kind of goes away, and you see her mature and grow in such a short period of time. But yeah, in modern music, you hear an Ariana Grande song.
You do.
It's just
Then
got that.
next.
It's just got that Regency touch to it. So episode 2 was called Shock and Delight.
Yep. And this is this episode where we really get to see a lot of Simon's background and why, like Tiffany said earlier, why he feels the way he does about marriage and kids and all that. Like we get to see a lot of that. And it's actually a really sad story because it starts off with, him being born and the mom passing away and the dad shipping him off.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and all he cares about is, tell me what it is, tell me what it is. Like, he's so worried about if it's a boy or not.
Well, and even as she's passing away, he's outside saying, my son. Like, he's not even with her. Mm-hmm. Like, he's not even with her being there.
Well, and her last things were, I gave him a son. Yeah. Or I gave him an heir or something. And Danbury is her best friend. So that's why. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why Lady Danbury and Simon are so close, because she actually ends up raising him. She comes to visit him and notice he has a stutter, mm-hmm. and she helps him to overcome that. And I like that scene, the scene where she comes to visit Simon. That's my favorite scene, and how she talks to Simon and how she's going to help him overcome all of it.
Mm-hmm. That is a good scene. And I think it shows their, like you talked about, we've talked about earlier, like their closeness. Mm-hmm. And how, she did try to come and, be there for him eventually.
Yeah. Well, I definitely, after rewatching these a few different times, I finally came to the conclusion that is his mother. Like, he never knew his mother, so this is what he knows. And
he didn't have a dad. The dad kind of, like, he even came back and he was talking to him all, he didn't stutter once, and he was telling him how well he had done and, like, all of the different things that he had done at school while he was away. And the father was kind of like, oh, and then he started stuttering again. And he was like, you are my worst failure. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, how can you even tell? I don't know. So Simon, I feel like Simon despises his father. I feel like there's no love there. There's no, there's no bond there at all.
No. And it was common, like this era, it was very common to send your child off when they were younger, and then you would bring them back in the home when they were talking, and you kept them in the home. Now, usually the boys would go off to like boarding school possibly, or go to school and learn more, and then the daughters would stay home and learn from their mothers and how to keep a home and raise a family. But even then, the governess would do the teaching, the school type stuff. Mm-hmm. And yeah, but Simon makes a pledge, like, to his dad on his deathbed, and he's like, the Hastings line will not continue after me. And he's sticking by that. He is not going to let that falter.
No, he told him, he was like, I will not get married. I will not sire an heir. And your name and the Hastings name will die with you or with me. Like, I'm not having an heir for you. Because that's all his dad wanted. That's why he wanted a male so bad, mm-hmm. to have an heir. And now him telling Simon telling his dad that, I think his dad is so caught up on that is because he says we were given this opportunity, and they could lose it. Their family could lose this opportunity, being a duke, because men were such a big deal back then. Like Featherington, that family's just gone in everybody else's eyes. Like, and the women couldn't marry another man and like kind of say, hey, now take care. It's always, and you'll see this later in the season too, but like so let's say the last male dies in the family, they go and start searching for who is the next heir then. And it could be like a 5th or 6th cousin or a 5th or 6th uncle. Like, if it's just somebody, and it could be some farm boy, and they go show up to his house and say, hey, you're the next heir to this lineage, like you have to carry on this family now. And mm-hmm. so you could have somebody take over your household, and they could kick you out if they want. Daphne and the rest of the Bridgertons too. Oh, Shelley, what's your favorite scene? I think I know it. I like the end of the dance scene. Well, I like the dance scene at the end when I think it's in this episode where he puts his hand, because he gets in,
Go ahead.
And Lord Burbrook, which he's, like we talked about earlier, he's got his hooks into Daphne, or so he wants Daphne. And he sees, Simon and all this, and he comes to Anthony and he brings this paper saying he's already got the paperwork, like he's gonna get her, like she is his, or he's gonna spill that she was in the garden with him alone. And back then, obviously, that you were not to be alone with a man, because you were spoiled at that point. So, and then he goes and he's shoving this paper in Anthony's face, and they're like, oh no, what do we do? Well, and prior to that, he had gone to Simon and he had messed with Simon. And Simon's like, leave it alone. And he, of course, didn't listen. And so Simon kind of, they had a little rumble, and obviously.
Well, he brought up his dad.
Yeah.
Burbrook, but he headbutts him. Like, if you go back and watch that scene, Simon goes wham with his head into Burbrook's head.
Well, and Simon is a boxer. And there's a couple scenes where Simon boxes, and I don't know, I noticed the boxing scene, like they don't act like they hold their punches.
Yeah,
like it's like wham, like I mean it's full in. And Simon, yeah,
well, when he's fighting in the ring with Anthony, he jabs him in the ribs. Anthony knocks him in the jaw, and I was like, dude, he not once knocked you in the jaw. You could at least save his face. He's doing that for you. But he thinks that he's right now at this moment, he thinks that the Duke wants his sister, and Anthony is not having it because Simon is a break.
Yes. Yep. Well, and he knows, Anthony's like, he doesn't want to get married. So what are your intentions with my sister? I know you don't want to get married. You have made that perfectly clear. So why else would you be courting her?
Right.
Or even attempting to court her?
And he can't tell that what they're planning.
No. And well, and even then, because I got really mad when I was watching that scene too. And he was like, well, I'm going to marry her off to Lord Burbrook. He's got nothing wrong with him. And Simon's like, you could tell that Simon wants to say something, because obviously he was there for the garden incident, and he doesn't. And I'm like, Simon, you should have said something there. Like, right. And he didn't. And, it's frustrating.
Yeah, it is. It's very...
Because you can tell he wants to. You can tell. And even Simon, like, I kind of fell in love with Simon even more when he told Lord Burbrook, you don't deserve her. Like, you don't deserve to breathe the same air that she breathes.
Mm-hmm.
Like when they get in the fight, and he pretty much knocks them out and pretty much takes,
Right.
And that just causes more problems for Daphne, because then, of course, he comes with that paperwork to marry her and threatens them. And then, Lady Whistledown gets word of it.
Well, Anthony calls off. So Simon, at one of the dances, Simon tells Anthony what happened. Basically, yes, that he tried to dishonor your sister. And yes, so then Anthony goes, well, she would have told me. And he goes, well, would she? And so Anthony tells Burbrook the engagement's off, because he did promise Daphne to him and had a contract. They were getting ready to sign the contract. And so Anthony tells him at that dance, he's like, no, you're not. And then that's, like you said, whenever Burbrook shows up with the papers, and he's like, no, we're going to get married because I can say that I was with her in the garden. And then if you want to explain that, how they get him out of the picture.
Oh, I like that part too. Yeah. So Lady Danbury and Lady Bridgerton discuss how, well, they have his mother over, and they have the staff talk to each other while they're meeting and having their tea and all that. And they find out that they said that he has a son with a maid, and he's not taking care of either one of them. He's not sending money. So now he has kids, supposedly. And of course, Lady Whistledown gets word of this. And so there goes Lord Burbrook.
Yeah, because what she says is like gold. I mean, she can make or break you. Yeah. So Burbrook had to kind of go away for a while to take care of his situation.
Yep. Well, I think this is when Anthony really starts kind of relenting a little bit and letting things take its course, because he sees that his mom took care of that, like all by herself. Anthony didn't need to do anything. Mm-mm. And she was cunning enough to do that. And she kind of shows, hey, I can take care of my daughter. you know, and so that kind of happens. And then, but my favorite part is when I think Simon tells Daphne, I think we're kind of courting now. You can call me Simon. And then he calls her Daphne. And just the look she gives him when he says her name, I'm like, okay, yep.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then he touches, you can see the bruises on his knuckles, and he touches the skin of her back. Like that's, yeah.
Yeah, when they're dancing, that's, yep.
But the one part we've talked about, and I wrote it down word for word. So she tells him, like, so this is how it's going to go while you're courting me.
She does it a lot.
Yeah. That they're negotiating dances, how many dances he'll go to. And she's at 6, and he wants less. And she's like, well, you need to bring me flowers, and the expensive ones. And he's kind of looks at her, and she's like, if you were really in love with me, you would buy out every florist in town. And he says, if I were truly courting you, I would not need flowers. I would need 5 minutes alone with you in the drawing room. Oh, love that.
Yeah, and he, like, with the whole, he gives her the little pep talk about what happens on the wedding night, so to speak, or what you can do when the lights are off. And she's like, what, go to bed? And he's like, no.
Yeah. Well, and so, okay, so after he says that, and of course, when he says 5 minutes alone in the drawing room, of course, she's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he said that. And so he's like, so she looked, because he kind of like, is a sorry. He puts this look on his face like, I'm sorry, I said that. I shouldn't have said that. And she goes, so 6 dances. And he goes, and I'll see what I can do about the flowers. Like he knows he needs to suck up to her now, because he embarrassed her, and he's not one shy, because we see him with a mistress.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. Let's see. Oh, Eloise. Let's talk about her. And this is where she gets obsessed with the baby making thing, and how, but she also gets caught smoking.
I love that scene too. Like when Benedict comes out and she's smoking, she's like trying to hide it, and she's like, what are you gonna do? And he's like, well, do you have another one for me? And like, I feel like they kind of bond right there, like that's their kind of, because they do it in another episode too, where they talk things through, and she's basically telling him at one point, like, I want to be able to do what you do. Like, if I want to go do this, I want to be able to do it. I don't want, you have it so easy as a male.
Yeah.
And,
well, you'll see that they're like-minded people in a lot of ways. Like, she's a writer, so that's like an artwork, and he's an artist. He likes to draw.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think we'll get to see more and more between them, how similar they are.
And I like that.
Yeah. But I guess her biggest thing is she actually has a fear of labor, and she talks to Daphne, and she says, don't you remember the night that Mom had Hyacinth? And so Daphne tried to like sing and talk to Eloise to keep her calm so she couldn't hear it and things like that, but it terrified Eloise. And I think that's because she was like, that's why she was on the prowl, or like investigating. That's why she was investigating, how do babies come to be? Because she does not want a baby. She does not want that pain. Women did their daughters a disservice back in this day by not letting their daughters know the birds and the bees. I feel like it should have been a thing. Like, you sit with your daughter, all this shyness, all this bashfulness goes out the door, and it is very important to tell your daughter how these things work.
Well, and I think the thing that scared her the most is that it sounds like they almost lost her mom with that one. Like, it sounds like it was not a good
right. That was the last baby.
It sounds like, yeah, and it sounds like it almost killed her. And and the screaming and stuff like that, I'm sure that would traumatize a younger child. Hearing that, knowing it's your mom.
Yep. Yeah, so this episode, the tables really turn for Daphne. So she starts getting suitors again by the end of this episode. But something else that I noticed is Danbury, something else just to prove, like, she says something, Simon listens. So she asks Simon, like, why are you wearing dark colors? And the next time we see him, he's wearing red. So he really takes her opinion highly. And she even tells Mrs. Bridgerton in the box when they're listening to the opera show, Danbury says, I don't like what Lady Whistledown's saying about my family either. So, she considers Simon her family. Just the queen. I just love the queen.
She's something else, I tell you. Because like you said, she does seem very like not just bored by everything. And then she was trying, was it this episode where they're trying to, because the queen kind of starts getting frustrated with what Lady Whistledown is saying as well, because I think she mentions her at one or something, and it kind of frustrates her.
We get to see a little more of Simon and Daphne's relationship growing. And I don't know, they're kind of, we don't see the fight yet, but they start fighting it down the road, starting to fight their relationship more and more, but you can tell that it's starting to become something more than just a coup to fool everybody.
Well, and you can tell by her, like you can already tell in this episode by Daphne. Now, maybe not necessarily, there's subtle things that Simon does that say, okay, he's falling for her, but like Daphne, she's more transparent about, I think she's more transparent. You can definitely tell and the way they bicker at each other.
Yeah.
Like even, this is in a later episode. Never mind. I was going to say there's another episode where I thought was really funny where they kind of bicker at each other because she ends up doing something because of him.
Yeah.
And gets made fun of for it.
Yeah. And they're cute. It's a cute little, I like it. And I like that, her concern is she wants a relationship like she saw in her mother and father. Because she tells her mother, she goes, you and dad were beautiful. And I guess, like, if she would have married Burbrook, his family is just like her family. They're old school. It didn't matter to her.
Yeah, she wanted love. She wanted a good love. Because like when her and Eloise were talking about babies and being, and she likes kids. She wanted kids. Like she said she was a little, she was scared, but who wouldn't be? Especially when you're that age and going through that. But
yeah,
I feel like, and then you got to think too, he was the only child. And even his mom told Lady Danbury or Lady Bridgerton that she only had one because God knew he was perfect. And she didn't oh, really? Yes.
Yeah, his mom was something else, wasn't she?
Yeah, well, she was like, I only had one because he was perfect and I didn't need any more.
Well, two great families will unite. Between the Queen and Danbury, those two right now are probably sitting at my favorite. Those two and their attitudes, man.
Yep. Well, I don't know. I keep looking for Lady Bridgerton because she's kind of sneaky. I think she don't count. I feel like don't think she's not going to do what she needs to do for her kids.
Oh, yeah.
Even Anthony, she's saying, okay, I've got a list of suitors for you, like a list of, eligible women.
I'm not a fan of him right now. He's done too much, and I get it. That's what it was back then. Men were men. And but he, even right in front of Sienna, he goes, not all women are ladies. And that really hurt Sienna. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't really take it back either.
Nope. Well, that's why I said he did, and he tried to go get her back. And at one point, I don't think it was in episode 2, no, but spoiler, but it does not work.
No.
And he kind of deserves it. He does. He kind of deserves it.
All right, friends. We thank you for watching us and joining in and having a chit chat with us. And I am Tiffany, and this is my BFFF Shelly. Join us next time, friends, for another great episode.